Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. We have the latest on Alexander Isak. There is a lot of nonsense out there, as you'd expect, but there's also some harsh truths that a lot of people don't want to hear and understand. But we can't bury our heads in the sand. We must accept it and talk about it. Not everything can always be sunshine and rainbows. So we're going to be real on the channel, as always, and we're going to discuss it, but also get through the absolute BS that, of course, goes with this transfer speculation season. And one of those names that could be coming to play alongside Isak, I think so, because I'm still going to stick to it. I'm still going to stick to I think Isak stays in Newcastle this summer, hopefully, is Whissa, who is apparently on his way to Newcastle. We're going to touch on that in the breaking news in a second. But we've also got more transfer links to some new players. And Nkunku of Chelsea is one to watch as well. So let's strap in, let's subscribe to the channel, and give away a big like, please, if you're enjoying the video. And as always, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I think we will start with that breaking news from the BBC in the past half an hour, is that Whissa has left Brentford's pre-season training camp. The forward has left the team's pre-season base in Portugal amid growing uncertainty over his future. They have learned that the 28-year-old has returned to London from the Bees training camp. Wissa will now hold talks with Brentford's director of football, with a trio of Premier League clubs keen on him. Newcastle, Tottenham and Forest have got a firm interest in the Congo international, with Newcastle apparently advancing in discussions. All three football clubs can offer him European football next season, and it's understood agreeing personal terms, particularly with Newcastle, whose efforts to land Whissa have intensified in the last 48 hours, this is all according to BBC Sport, will not be an issue. As we've said in previous videos in the last few days, Whissa has already agreed personal terms with the Magpies. Whissa is understood to have been unsettled by the speculation regarding his future in recent weeks, so got some similarities between Brentford striker Whissa and our own striker Alexander Isak, both taken off from pre-season. We're seeing Isak obviously sent home from Celtic game the other day, and Whissa has sent himself home from the training camp in Portugal. So can we really have a go at this or get encouraged by this when it's something very similar to Isak? Yeah, apparently when it's Newcastle and it's Isak, it's nothing to worry about. But when it's other teams and players, the truth is right in front of your eyes. You know what I mean? Whissa's head is clearly turned by the speculation. He said he wants to move. He wants European football. He loves the idea of coming to Newcastle and or Spurs. So he wants that transfer. And now, like I said, the similarities are there between Isak. You can clearly see Isak's head has been, I don't want to say turned all the way. Maybe I'm being a bit of a contradictive individual there who's looking at it and thinking, nah, he wouldn't want to leave Newcastle. I still don't think he does. But there's obviously clearly an unsettlement there. I mean, Eddie Howe said it, didn't he? Eddie Howe said, Isak told me, his careers are short, I understand that. He's unsettled by the speculation. It came from Eddie Howe, to be fair, so we don't need to try and sugarcoat it or try and lie about it. It's facts, that's what happened. But obviously, we'll hope we'll come to a resolution soon on Isak. More of that in a minute. Back to the BBC article on Whissa. So they're having a meeting now, Whissa and the sporting director, apparently to go through the transfer negotiations between, Newcastle, Forest and Spurs with the Bees. But also, I think they're trying to convince him to stay. You know what I mean? Brentford recently opened negotiations over a new contract. He's understood to prefer a move away from the G-Tech Stadium. They obviously do not want to lose another one of their star players. They've lost the captain Noga to Arsenal. They've lost the right-wing star goal scorer Brian Mbeumo to Man United. And now Whissa could be going as well. They lost the manager, of course, Thomas Frank, to Tottenham. Took a big gamble getting Keith Andrews through the door. His first managerial appointment there, his first big role. So that's a big ask, but he's also going to have a lot of money to spend. Brentford can go out and spend a couple of $100 million, to be fair, and replace people. They've obviously had bids rejected for the likes of Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich, so they've got work to do. But again, I think there's a deal to be done here. Whether it's with us or with Spurs, I can't see Whissa being in a Brentford shirt next season. When the player himself wants to move, when he's only got 12 months left, are they really going to keep a hold of a sulky striker for another year and then lose him for free next summer, where they could get 30-odd million for him this year for a 29-year-old? In September, he turns 29, so. I think he'll move. Whissa's been at Brentford since August 2021, 49 goals in 149 games in all competitions for the Bees. His best ever season last year, 19 goals in 35 Premier League matches. So he's back in London, he's pushing for a move. There's even more reports coming out now. There might even be more developments as this video gets edited and uploaded, where you see talks advancing, and again, he's on his way to Newcastle. People are saying he's on his way now. Obviously, he's not in Portugal, he's not with Brentford anymore. He's in talks in London there, trying to get them to accept an offer. Newcastle have been advancing. Several reports are saying that. Like I said earlier, advancing in negotiations over the last 48 hours. Personal terms agreed. Wissa's got to choose between Newcastle and Tottenham. But these two teams also have to put a formal bid in. Brentford trying to hold out for around the 40 million region. That would be tough to be done. I can't see many teams wanting to pay that with his age, with a year left. So I think it's more appropriate that we do get a fee sorted in the region of 30 odd million. And I'd be very happy with that. I think it's great backup to Isak, because hopefully he's not going anywhere. Don't go anywhere. And he gives him a good bit of competition there. But also, you can play alongside him. Or you can rotate with him, whatever. We need to improve our forward department, especially now Callum Wilson's left as well. We're not only short in bodies, but we're short in quality. So Whissa could be on his way to Newcastle very soon. Or Spurs probably, the way our bloody transfer window's gone this summer. You'll see them hijack the move, and it'll be another targeted add to the very growing list of missed players for the Mags. We'll try and remain positive. I've tried to do it also, it's been draining. But I'm very hopeful that a signing gets done soon. Remember, the lads are flying off to Asia on Friday, so we'll definitely want another body through the door this week to join them on that pre-season tour, that's for sure. Or, is the only thing we're bothered about is making sure Alexander Isak is on that plane to Singapore. Is that the most important thing? Probably. So on Alexander Isak, and we'll get this nonsense out of the way first. Liverpool accounts going mad because somebody pictured him with a physio at the training ground. They do realise that this could have been part of a whole session. So yes, in this single image, he is training alone. As they would like to say, he's training alone. That fallout with Eddie Howe. Now he's on his own. He's kicked off. Kicked up a fuss. Eddie Howe's banished him to the bottom of the training ground. He's on his own with the physio there. Not involved in the team setup. They're not risking him. They're not playing him in games, matches, getting him ready. Yeah. Make sure he's free of injury so he can sign for Liverpool next week. All of this, absolute bollocks, right? However, I have been hearing some mad stuff, and I can't share all of it, but it is true what happened on the weekend. We know it, as I said before, Eddie Howe said he sent him home. Bit of a falling out. Bit of an unsettlement going on there in Alexander Isak's head, getting linked to Liverpool, getting linked to Saudi Arabia, getting teased of all this money. But the main thing is coming from Isak's agent. The main thing is him demanding big money. Now, people yesterday in the video were saying, it was fake news, he didn't say that. He did say that. There's been no proof that he didn't say that, the agent in the Saudi Arabian press. But even if you want to believe that, he never said it, right? Isak's agent is wanting more money for his client. They were wanting that new deal last year. Amanda Staveley promised Isak a new contract. She left, Mitchell came in, Mitchell decided not to do it. Isak then goes on to have an even better season once again. We'll win a trophy, we'll get Champions League. Him and his agent are thinking, right, any minute now, the phone's going to ring. When May happened, season finished, we're thinking, right, phone's going to ring, new contract's going to be in front of us, can't wait for this. Mitchell's obviously dilly-dallying, Mitchell leaves, Newcastle dilly-dallying. Still no fresh deal on the table for Alexander Isak, which is mental and unacceptable for me, to be honest with you. I think that should have been an absolute priority to get that in front of him, to make him the highest earner at the club. However, these reports from the likes of TalkSport, and I can see the comments already, TalkSport, talk shite, not going to believe them. I get it, right? You can't believe anyone these days, to be fair. Sky get things wrong, Athletic get things wrong. If you want to be, pessimistic or negative or question everything, you definitely can, because there's that many things are incorrect and false these days, but also you can believe certain things, right? And some things can be true. This one for me is probably a bit of a stretch. I did actually mention it yesterday. There was reports that his agent's demanding 300 grand a week, and you could see that because he's got to look around. His agent will be telling him. Rashford was on 300 grand a week. Bang average Premier League players amongst the league and other teams are on 200, 250 grand a week. Haaland, your competitor, if you like, who's going for the golden boot? Be Isak, Haaland and Salah. The easy top three to pick there. The easy, best kind of interesting names in the league there. The most clinical attacking players. They are the forwards in the league that everyone keeps an eye on, that everyone puts in their FPL, that everyone rates the most. So, Haaland on $500,000 a week. There's reports that it's 400 to 600 grand a week, especially with goal bonuses. He's probably making over £500,000 a week. Isak's on 120 grand a week. His agent will be in his yard saying, you're on par with him. Look what he's getting. Pathetic, this. Force a move. Kick up a fuss. Yeah, that's genuinely what's happening. And then you've got obviously Mo Salah at Liverpool again, another golden boot goer. And he's on the same 400 grand a week. You know what I mean? 300-400 grand a week. So there's no reason why Isak's wrong, to be honest, to want that much money. It's just a problem with Newcastle and FFP that we can't give him it. And PSR, we can't totally crumble the finances for 300 grand a week. But what we should have been doing is earlier getting him on board for a 200 grand a week, a 220 grand a week. Give him that. Give as much as you can. I tell you what, again, this is what I'm saying with the agent thing. Hugo Ekitike, as we know, Newcastle pursued him. He's now signed for Liverpool. He is on £250,000 a week. Straight away, an unproven French kid. First contract in the Premier League. Young, there you go. You've had one good season in the Bundesliga. We're going to offer you £250,000 a week. He's earning more than double of what Isak's earning at Newcastle United for a player that has been there for that long and has been doing it year in, year out. That is what we're dealing with here, and that's the problem we've got. And that is, with FFP and PSR, the absolute strangle that the Premier League has got on us. It's got us in a headlock because we can't compete with these wages, we can't compete with these finances, because they won't let us spend. Otherwise, we'll be absolutely knackered and we're getting points deductions and the rest of it. Seeing here, he wants to be on par with Jack Grealish and Bruno Fernandes. Again, Jack Grealish is making £300,000 a week. Barely kicked the ball for a couple of years. So there's no wonder his agent is trying to get that money. They're saying, Alexander Isak wants that, and maybe in the title it'll be Isak demands it because who cares about what his agent name is and giving him the limelight. But it's true. His agent, his representatives will be demanding close to £300,000 a week. They'll be wanting that new deal to be a lot of money. And you see a lot, but when you look around and Grealish is getting it, who was surprised? You know what I mean? He's one of the best strikers in the world. He deserves £300,000 a week. It's just an absolute shambles from the Premier League and FFP that we can't really afford to give him it. But it's also a shambles from Newcastle United that we haven't got an offer in front of them of the best we can. £200,000 a week. So we'll wait and see if there's a resolution on that. Right then, quickly on Christopher Nkunku, because there's loads of local media down there in London representing Chelsea, stating that Newcastle are keeping tabs on him and Eddie Howe fancies a move for the Frenchman. This one is split opinion because obviously Nkunku's been a bit of a flop down there at Stamford Bridge, but then again, he's competing with about 317 players to try and get a place in the team. And the new manager Maresca, well, he's been there a year now, doesn't really fancy him compared to the previous managers that signed him and wanted him and played him. So he's got a battle on his hands. Chelsea, to be fair, was slammed them for the ridiculous loopholes they find, selling bloody car parks and everything themselves, hotels and women's teams. But they also are very good at player trading. They do sell it and do make a canny profit. And that's what they're doing with Nkunku. They're thinking, right, he's not really going to fit in. Instead of keeping him on the bench here and he's pissed off, he wants first team football, we'll slap a 40 million price tag on him. A bit of a reduction, a bit of a reduced price there, to be fair. Not bad for a player that was really highly rated coming from the Bundesliga. Just so they can get rid of him and then, get double that and spend it on someone else for the crack. Probably bloody Isak to put a bit in for him, knowing Chelsea. So they want to let Nkunku go. He is available to leave. Nkunku wants to move, but he does kind of like the idea of staying in England and staying in the Premier League. So this is alerted clubs. Newcastle are very much interested, according to these reports down there in London. And Eddie Howe would be keen to work with the Frenchman. Now, I actually like this move, especially if you could get a loan to obligation to buy. Let's kind of do a Lewis Hall special on this one. Do you know, this is a good way around FFP. To be fair, as I mentioned earlier, and as we all know, we do need to strengthen the forward department. So Nkunku will come in and add valuable experience, a lot of versatility, and he is a threat. He scored some goals, got some assists in the Bundesliga and in the national level. He's a really good player, to be fair. He's talented. He just needs that right environment, that right club. I think Newcastle could be it for him. It just depends on, again, he's not guaranteed to really come in and start. When you've got the right wing Alanga Murphy, left wing Gordon and Barnes, forward line, yes, he can come in, he can play as that 10, he can play as a false 9, he can try and mix things around. But I like the idea of it, I do, especially as I mentioned, if you can get him in on loan with a permanent option if he hits a certain criteria, mint, risk-free that one a little bit. Apart from obviously his wages. His wages being that he's nearly on £200,000 a week. So that is obviously a bit of a sticking point. That would make him Newcastle's highest earner. That isn't going to happen. We've just talked about wages loads. Don't need to do it again. But the fact of the matter is, he would have to take a wage cut. Or, if it was that loan option, could we try and do a 60-40 split with Chelsea? Something along those lines. Something that you see other clubs do. And like what Villa did with Marcus Rashford. So, you know what I mean? That's something that we could look at. That's an avenue to go down. But I do like that name, I know a lot of fans will think, Nkunku, he's been pretty crap in the Premier League. He's shown glimpses for me. He's shown glimpses, and I think he's skillful, talented, and there's a lot of potential there. Is he suited the Premier League is the question, because he's definitely suited the Bundesliga. He's great there. He could go to France or Spain and do a very good job as well. But I kind of like the idea of him in Newcastle shit. I think he's a big name as well. He's a global name. He gets a lot of attention around Europe, a lot of attention in Africa and stuff there. So it would be one that would boost Newcastle as a club, as a bit of a global appeal. So people would start looking and talking about that. And I think it's a player that at the training ground would get other lads excited. I think Isak would like to play with him. I think Bruno and stuff would look at him and think, yeah, he's a talent. Them sort of bigger names, bigger personalities and talented players around the place. And he's obviously won a lot of trophies in his time as well, to be fair. So I like it. But obviously the deal has to be right to get him over the line. Let us know. Would you take Nkunku at St James's Park. Oh, we're getting some breaking news as we do the video, and here it is on Whissa. What is it then? Ben Jacobs is reporting that Newcastle have made a formal bid in excess of £30 million. Brentford would rather keep Whissa, but player actively pushing for a move away. Brentford want £50 million. NUFC believe a deal can be done much lower. That is my live instant reaction there. Yes, the disbelief at reading on my screen. Brentford want £50 million for a player that turns 29 in September and has 12 months left on his contract. What the bloody hell are Brentford smoking? They must think they're trying to sell it to Manchester United, not Newcastle United, because they're not paying that much for him. I don't think anyone will. I mean, they did end up getting 71 million for Mbumo, so no doubt they're trying to push the luck with this one as well, and they really don't want to sell him, don't have to sell him. But this is a bit mad. But Spurs are also keen and in talks, so I don't know why I waste my time. We'll probably just hear the news that Spurs are happy to pay 45 million or something for him, and that'll be another target missed. But there we go. Newcastle have apparently bid 30 million plus for Whissa. The player is very much keen on a move. He's left Brentford's pre-season camp, as we talked about earlier. So this one's developing. This one's advancing, as we said earlier. So let's wait and see where he goes and what money can be reached on a deal, because 50 million is crazy. But I think hopefully maybe 35 with add-ons would see the Congolese striker on the move. Let us know in the comments how much you would pay for him. Do you want him at the club? Well, this video has been edited about 6 times now because it is constantly evolving. You've already seen throughout the show how we originally started off with BBC's article saying that Whissa was flying back to London for the move. He wants the move and he's left their training camp in Portugal. And then we went on to the breaking news from Ben Jacobs and TalkSport that Newcastle were going to place a bid of around £30 million. And as I was just about to publish the video, we are getting more breaking news from David Ornstein at The Athletic and others saying that Newcastle's bid has been rejected for Whissa. Bid rejected of £25 million. Newcastle are expected to go back in with another offer. Why are we lowballing it again? Why do we keep doing this? Just probably pay the money. Fucking hell. You'd think it was Mike Ashley, honestly. I know we're trying to be thingy around FFP and PSO, but we're taking the mick with these lowball offers. Come on, man. You know that's not getting accepted. So we're going back in with the second one. Brentford are apparently holding out for close to 50 million. 40 million of those are saying it's got to be around 40. Surely they're not that daft where they think they can charge that much. Newcastle are probably going to go in around 30 million offer now. That may get it closer. Brentford probably reject that one. Hold for about 35. Maybe even with some add-ons as well. But we're sat in Newcastle. The pursuit is ongoing. And we've also got talks advancing. The personal terms have been agreed, as we've mentioned earlier. So this one is constantly evolving. As we said in the video that I recorded about an hour and a half ago, it's evolving, it's advancing. And by the time this is uploaded, I'm sure there'll be another bid rejected or hopefully accepted from Brentford for Yuan Whissa to Newcastle United. Let's wait and see. Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe. See you probably for a live later for more on this as it continues to develop. Thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe to the channel. Give it a like, and I'll see you on the next one.